the pig at full forward.
Rockcliffe, gee, that was strong by Rockcliffe. That is a terrific goal.
Fantasia or Fantasia?
Roaming Orazio.
Orazio Fantasia!
I wonder how far we've got to go back to see when time on was allowed for a pig on the ground.
Welcome back to Rock the Razbah, episode 10. What a huge episode we have in store for the family today. I'll welcome my co-host, Orazio Fantasia.
Hey, Rock.
How are you going?
Good, mate. You?
That body holding up this week? Are we progressing well?
We'll get into that a bit later.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but we have a very important guest, obviously, with Russell Ebert going into the Hall of Fame legend status last night. We have his son, Brett, alongside us. So welcome, Brett.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Commonly known as Brad around the traps.
Come out early. He hasn't got anything left now.
Now, we'll touch on you first, and then we'll get into your old man and how important he was and the night that was last night. But you were an integral part to the Port Adelaide family and story as well. You joined the football club in 2002 draft. Your first season was 2003, but it took you a bit of time to debut. How was that period for you when you got to the football club?
Yeah, it was a fantastic start. I got to train with Port Adelaide in 2002. I was playing at the Maggies and they invited us to come out and train. And then, drafted at the end of 2002. And I found out through Rob Snowden that I technically shouldn't have been able to get drafted. I don't know if I should mention that. But
why? Did he tell you why?
Scoop here.
There's a few things with the years that Dad played.
Okay.
But I don't know if I should be saying this. It took a while to get going.
No, we'll go into it because it's history now. It doesn't matter. There's not going to be any ramifications for that.
Yeah, so I think the AFL possibly looked at Dad playing almost 400 games and thought it was all good. Yep, done. And I think the years weren't the proper years that were technically I was eligible for. So Rob Snowden, one of my really close friends, told me that about 5 or 6 years ago. So thanks, Rob, for that. I actually struggled 2003. I wasn't going very well and playing at the Maggies. And I remember Steve Williams said, we might drop you to the reserves. And I tagged Hayden Skipworth in 2003 in probably the mid-season. And then sort of the year went on and had a pretty good year in the end and started in 2004 for the Power.
So you say that you're almost dropped, but you went on to win the McGarry medal in 2003. Yeah,
it was a really strange one. I had to... I'm very average with remembering footy stuff, but I still remember tagging Hayden Skipworth at Woodville Oval, and I reckon it was mid-season. And, did a ride on him, and that sort of set the season up. Personally, and also had the great Jeff Morris, who was the development coach at the time, show a bit of confidence in us. So, it was an interesting year. Development sort of started midway through that 2003 season.
And when you first got drafted, were you always a bigger kid, or did it take you time to build your frame and get in? Because I know, obviously, I was a bit smaller and it took me a little bit of time, but did you find that a problem at all?
No, I was always sort of decent size, but just confidence-wise, I was sort of playing amateurs at Smosh West Lakes under 17s and just having a bit of fun with footy, and I never, as to this day, don't take things too seriously. And I sort of realised that I probably could have done a bit more than what I was doing, and development went pretty well after leaving St Michael's, and then going across to the Magpies. Not been able to get a game for the Eagles under 17s, West Torrens. Went across to the Magpies, and development started to improve there.
166 games, 204 goals. You actually won the Port Adelaide goal kicker in 2007. Went on to play in a grand final that year. How was that?
Yeah, disappointing 2004 to miss out. I think I might have played 15 or 16 games that year, so it was emergency for the grand final. So a bloody good team that we had.
Potentially, if that was 2022 or 21, you could be a grand final. You could be a premiership player now by the sub rule.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Interesting.
That probably stings a little bit as well.
Oh,
well, it's an interesting thing now that someone can sit on the bench for the whole game, and you were an emergency in that game. You could be sitting here as a premiership player.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting feeling. Probably good that I didn't have to do it like that. But you see the NFL and how the other codes do it, and it's a full team effort. Someone can come in for the grand final and be a premiership player, but there might be someone that, Josh Franco or a Matty Primus that have, busted their guts for so many years and miss out. And, Bob Murphy, a Nathan Jones, those kind of ones. You have those stories, but you still feel a part of it, and that's the way it has to be. It's a full squad effort. Just
on that, before we move on, do you think everyone on the playing list, because we know that you compete the whole year, you train all together, do you think everyone should get a medal for representing that time that they won the premiership, or just the playing 22?
I think the whole squad should get one. If you've obviously played in it or not, so you've got that little extra memento or feeling that you're in that 22, but I think it's a full squad effort, and someone can get injured in a semi or prelim or injured for that whole year and would definitely be in the 22 and isn't. So just that feeling of we all got a trophy, a little premiership cup in 2004 and a key to the city, so that was good for a few of the nightclubs. And
did you use it? Yeah.
for that few months that we celebrated, and in Cairns too. I reckon we used that key in Cairns as well. So I think the full squad should get it. It's pretty simple, really. Everyone gets a medal, and the ones that played know they played in it.
Yeah, nice. Looking back on your career, would you give younger you any advice to do anything different or change anything?
Yeah, definitely. I was the prankster and the jokester, and I probably could have taken things a little bit more seriously. I had a really good pre-season 2006 and did extra work and had a really good year 2007, but probably got a little bit, complacent maybe, and just cruised along. I did that when I was 16, 17, and then you sort of get in the team and it's all good now, I'm in. I've noticed, listening to the guys yesterday at the Hall of Fame dinner, and the ones that sort of go above and beyond, and I don't know, a bit like maybe with your injuries, you look for other alternatives. I didn't really do that.
Yep.
I sort of just went, that's it. The rehab was okay, but wasn't great. And then that ruined me in the end. Didn't play sort of any games in my last year, and finished up at 29. Body was absolutely wrecked. And got away with a few years of doing rehab, but probably not going above and beyond, which you see the greats do.
There's some great stories that float around the change rooms, not only about you, but also your dad and your father's favourite quote, or the quote that I always remember about your old man, the great Russell Ebert, was, "Hey Russ, how you going? Shouldn't be this good." Yours was on the training track. I'm led to believe that everyone that played with you when you were running laps around Alberton Oval, you had a famous quote.
Did I? What was it?
I think it was along the lines of, "You better call the fire brigade because you need to put me out. I'm going that way."
I did mention after I played for the Maggies, and this is 2013 when I was absolutely wrecked, and I said I had more clearances than a Harris scarf sale. I actually didn't.
Were you a good sledger? Did you give a bit when you played?
I copped a bit.
Did you? Yeah.
I gave a little bit. I was more the funny one. Some funny one-liners and got the group going.
Yeah. What was your best prank? Can you talk us through that?
We had a few. I actually, my car was for sale on Port Road, and they did it before training, and so I come in after training with about 100 messages asking, is the car for sale, and I really like it.
And it wasn't actually for sale.
No, and I had $5,000 on it, which it was worth a bit more than that. I signed Warren Treaderay's brand new boots with a permanent marker, and he had to wear them that weekend, so I scrubbed them out. Did lots of things. David Arnfield always copped a few. We put his car on the oval and put it in gear and spinning laps until it conked out. Hid phones in some silly places and then called him, and he realised where the phone had been placed, and it was right near his face. So there's just silly ones. That's the thing I miss the most is messing around in the change rooms, and a simple thing is a cup of water on top of the door and waiting for someone to walk in. Just silly things like that I definitely miss the most.
It's funny you say that you used to be a prankster and really good fun. We recently did an appearance together for GFG, Raz. We went down to Georgetown, and boy, he was boring down there.
Oh.
That's for sure.
That's a whack.
Really let the team down, and it
Really?
was a long night because he would not get involved
Yeah.
at all.
Well, you were the main man, or you thought you were. Robbie Williams of take that or whatever it was, go out on his own. 55 touches, and then he went off after half time, and he pulled them all out. Georgetown absolutely loved him.
Yeah,
he was quite funny.
We've heard that story about 10 times on the podcast as well.
We're joking about that, but what do we see you doing these days? How can we keep an eye on you, or is there any way Port Adelaide fans can get involved in anything that you're doing?
Yeah, so business-wise, I've got a group training business that I've been running for about 8 years now, down the Grange Royals Hockey Club. So morning and nights out there, then up in the mines, up at Prominent Hill, doing some injury prevention work. So helping out the groups up there, a lot of guys and girls that need the help. So that's sort of 5 or 6 years in. Coaching St Mick's, first 18, doing a bit of work there, and also some stuff with the community youth program here, which is great.
Clearly, I don't need any personal fitness or any training like that. I'm in great nick. But how do we get in touch with that? Is that Ebert Fitness? Is there a website or a mobile number that we can get in contact with?
Yeah, just eberthealthfitness.com.au and get in touch. And would love to have you out there for a run around. We've got a good group of guys and girls out there, all ages, all fitness levels, and for all the hundreds of thousands of people listening to this, make sure you come out.
Now, I want to take you back to Tuesday night, the Hall of Fame. What an occasion and honour for you and the family, and of course Russell, who we lost late last year, which was so sad for so many people in the Port Adelaide family, but a great night of celebration on Tuesday night for you, and a great honour for your father. Yeah,
it was. He's done so much for footy in the community, and he's won so many awards, and it's a bit, overall for a fair bit for Mum over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, with all the things that Dad sort of received, and she doesn't like those accolades, and she likes them, but she doesn't necessarily want to be a part of, getting involved too much with the speeches and with accepting things. But just an amazing effort for Dad during footy, post-footy, what he's done for the community, you name it, the elderly, the disadvantaged, disabled, schooling, everything. He's covered it all, and he was still full-time at Port before he got sick. So, for a 71-year-old to be doing all that and still loving it and still involved with footy, he was living his dream.
I think majority of Port fans would probably know him as a footballer, but you obviously had him as a dad. What was he like as a dad growing up and when you were playing footy? And
yeah, it was probably quite fortunate, being 2 or 3 when he finished football. I've got an older brother and sister, who were sort of 6 and 8 years older, who probably saw a little bit more of it. And my brother, probably copped a little bit more than I did, because Dad obviously was still playing or recently retired, and my brother's a little bit older. So he probably saw a bit more of Dad play, but then, people might have compared him a bit more. I know he was super young, but you get that with, is he going to play and is he going to do this? So I think it was fortunate for me that Dad was only 2 or 3. I was only 2 or 3 when Dad retired. So I didn't think of him as a footballer. I saw some highlights and vision, but I didn't put myself out there to watch too much.
Yep.
I just sort of let that be, and was more what Dad did off the field.
Yep.
Half his life he wasn't playing footy, so I think his greatest legacy was left after football. You can sort of probably get to the stage where you finish your footy and think, I'm pretty good. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I've played whatever games, 300-400 games, and that's me done. But he gave more once he's finished.
I just want to quickly jump back before we move on and talk more about your dad and what he did in the community, Russell. The beautiful tribute for Brian Cunningham. How did that make you feel on Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's amazing. Obviously, having someone that Dad was super close to and played alongside, and captain, and did all the things that Dad did. Spoke so well, as did all the inductees, and it's just a fantastic night all round. The stories, from Tasmania to WA to Victoria to South Australia, they did an amazing job, and the speeches were, some you're in stitches, others you're almost in tears with how it all went, but everyone had a different journey to get there, but they got there, and then Bucky to chat about Dad and to finish, with that was just phenomenal, and the vision and just seeing the banners with all the legends up there, the other 31 legends. Just I knew every one of them, so it's nice to have Dad alongside them.
So there's 32 legends now, and you spoke about your dad being huge in the community. I remember when I first got to the football club, I didn't have an understanding of how big and how much he impacted not only the Port Adelaide Football Club, but the AFL community in South Australia and also the community. And I think it was one of my first weeks here. We went on an appearance or community camp or something like that. We drive out to a BP or a petrol station, pull in. Russell fills up the car, goes in to pay. No, this one's on me, Russ. Like, he was so respected. I heard you speak last night about whether you were a Port person, a Crows person, or a Barrack for anyone else in the sample. He was so respected in the community and loved everywhere he went. It would have been an amazing experience for you as a kid or anywhere you went with him, that he was just so loved.
Yeah, it's funny because your legends usually cop the most. You boo a Chris Judd or you boo a Nathan Buckley for no other reason that they're a really good player. But everyone loved Dad and had the respect, which carried across with his footy and life after football. And people always mention, I'm a Nord supporter, I'm a Sturt supporter, or it didn't matter. They still had the respect for him, and that was his fairness and just his ability to the way he played and held himself and knew everyone's name and gave everyone time, and just had the respect of the community. It was it was always funny. Everyone said hello to him, and that was just Dad. And the young ones probably got their parents were telling them how good he was, and then you had the ones that Dad worked for the bank and would go around schools, and they remembered him from there. And then they remembered him from the footy days, and then the oldies remembered him from, here and there, and all around South Australia. Everyone seemed to know him, and he knew them as well, and their family, and everything. His memory was outstanding.
Just showed how much he really cared about people.
I think so. Yeah, yep. And around the state, and even going over to Vic for a year and doing that for the experience. A lot of guys in South Australia didn't do that at the time, so. He passed on a lot to a lot of people.
That's often forgotten that he went over to Victoria and dominated that season. He had the most disposals in that team. He flew in on a Thursday, and trained with him on a Thursday night, ran the sports store here, I think, at the time. Flew over, dominated the game on the Saturday, then would fly back.
Yeah, and he had Ron Barassi, I think, as his coach as well, and he said he played every position on the ground and, forward, back, on ball, with an amazing team. I think I actually spoke with Dad about that, and that year apparently North Melbourne, they paid for had a great team as well. So some of the names, Ross Glendenning and Graham Corns and a few of those guys were there last night. So to have that year and a young family as well and fly over just for a game on the weekend, I think train once on a Thursday night. It's a pretty impressive effort.
So good. And then we'd get to the school, Raz, after the appearance, and you'd rock up and the school teacher would know who Russ is. Not many of the younger kids would, but then you'd go to sign autographs. But it didn't matter because the teacher's influence on the students would tell him how good he was. You'd have your autograph line at the end. Russ's went around the back, all around the oval, and ours was 5-10 metres long. It was just... He just had so much time. And then after the school, of course, we'd go to the local bakery. He knew every bakery in South Australia, I think.
Yeah, he had a great physique too. My brother's writing a book at the moment, and I wrote a chapter. And my best mate's wedding in Tasmania was holding a plank in our suits, and I tell the story of there was 50 of us lined up, and everyone dropped, and then there was 3 of us left, and it was myself, this other guy near me, right next to me, who I didn't know, and some other person that I wasn't aware of, but I could hear over the MC talking about who this person was, and then the guy next to me dropped after about 7 minutes, and I realised the other guy was Dad. And it was on a wooden floor, and he was holding a plank on his knuckles because he had an issue with his hand that his tendons were tightening up. So, and he actually beat me. So this is only 5 or 6 years ago, so mid-60s, and I reckon he held it 8 or 9 minutes on his knuckles on a wooden floor.
Strong.
So I wrote that in the book just as a bit of a memory, just to show how competitive he was. But just how much of a machine he was as well.
Some other great memories of childhood. What are your fondest of you and your dad? Was it just kicking the footy in the backyard, or?
Yeah. We my brother and sister love their sport as well.
Yeah.
So I was always following my brother, who's sort of 6 years older. Dad come to all of our games. I vaguely remember some coaching. He was coaching the Maggies, but then also Woodville West Orange. So going to watch them, and Norts. You remember a few of the greats, Alan Jakovic and. Who else? Clemmy and John Klug and Romano Negri and some of these greats. Richard Champion, and just some of those guys that that I grew up to admire, and I was sitting in the crowd with a pack of Crown Mints and watching training and getting amongst it. But then Dad went away from footy, and another one was the state team. So he coached under 17 state team at the time, and there's some pictures on the wall with. Some of the awesome, Mark Rashudos and Gav Wanganans and those kind of juniors that Dad coached and got to see become amazing players, and he was still mates with, really close mates with before he passed,
He's just an incredible man. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Russell Ebert. I don't think you ever will. There's a lot of, often when someone passes away, they get held in higher regard, but Russell's always been held in the highest regard, not only here at Port Adelaide, but all around South Australia. So we really appreciate you taking the time to come out today, Brett, and speak to us. I joked at the top of the show that your name was Brad. It's,
there it is.
Often
Come out
confused.
again?
It often happens here, but I think the fitting way to let you go from the show, but also to acknowledge the great contribution that was Russell Ebert at the Port Adelaide Football Club is to cheers him.
Beautiful.
Raz has a iced coffee, which we know that Russell went to. He always had one or two every day, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And SNFL, I think they got up to to about 2 litres each a day at one stage. Yeah, which is not good for your guts.
No,
I don't reckon they knew much about the the internal, whatever the stuff is inside your stomach. I don't know if you have much left.
Me and Brett are going to toast with the Pirate Life. Thank you to Pirate Life for that. And again, I'll just get you to touch on how to, if anyone wants to get involved in your fitness training, how do they do that?
Yeah, just get on the website, eberthealthfitness.com.au. Get out and have a run around. Don't be scared. I won't bite. We've got a lot of different groups of guys, girls, different ages, different fitness levels. There's no need to stress, and everyone's welcome.
So here's cheers. We'll raise a glass, a Pirate Life, and a nice coffee for Russell Ebert. Cheers.
Beautiful. Cheers.
Congratulations to Russell being elevated into legend status.
This place is different. It has a soul, a heartbeat. It gets into your senses. It's more than football. It's belonging.
Oh, how fantastic was that first segment there of having Brett Ebert here to talk about his late father, Russell Ebert, who was an absolute champion on and off the field. He did so much, not only on the field for Port Adelaide, but so much in the community and made a lot of people's lives better. But he was elevated to legend status on Tuesday night, so it was fantastic to have him along.
lots of beautiful insights. Thanks for sticking around, mate.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, boys.
It was. It's good that you've stuck around. You're still involved at footy, more at a local level than the big dog status of AFL level or SANFL level.
No, I'm a simple man. So I'm just doing a little bit of coaching. With the first 18, year 11 and 12 group at St Michael's, and I've stayed away from the top level because I know I'm not good enough to be there.
Anyone that knows you knows that you're a very, very simple man. So we'll quickly move on from that. Unfortunately, the boys went down by a couple of goals last week against Richmond. And if anyone watched that game from a Port Adelaide point of view, a spectator now that I am, we were robbed. We were robbed, in my opinion. There were some calls late that didn't go our way, which I think, in reflection, they probably got wrong. I don't want you to comment on that, Orazio. Mm-hmm. You can probably say a little bit more, Bradley, on that. But
are you a screamer when you're watching? Are you yelling at the umpires on the TV?
I just get frustrated. And, a Thursday night, it was pretty low-key, and I was hoping for a Port Adelaide win. And started a little bit disappointing.
Yep.
5 goals from turnover in the first quarter. We just gave up the possession in the corridor too often.
Yeah, and we spoke about that. We really wanted to defend the corridor against that team, and Richmond, they prey on turnover. As you said, they kick 5 goals from turnover, but they almost want you to win clearances. As weird as that sounds, they're happy to give that up, but they know that if they win the ball back in their D50, they're going to be able to springboard and come back at you.
There was a huge discussion point out of that game, and I just need to air my grievances with that because the frustration around people, and particularly in the media, which I am now, that there was commentary immediately around the concussion protocols and it put into question Mark Fisher's professionalism. Would have had Mark Fisher as a doctor. I find that embarrassing from their point of view that they were able to say what they said and get away with it, no ramifications. Because anytime you question a doctor's professionalism and integrity, it's quite embarrassing because he's been cleared of doing any wrongdoing. He did his job to the nth degree, and we know the importance of concussion. Your cousin Brad, who I've joked about calling you a couple of times, had to retire from concussion. Any opinion on the not the attacks, but the verbal slandering almost of Mark Fisher?
Yeah, Fisher's been there, 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah, so he's an amazing doctor and decision-making under pressure, and he's not going to put any person on the ground that isn't fit to go out there. So, I know the boys are bandaged up and a little bit worse for wear looking, but that's all part of the testing process, and he works out whether they're able to go back on and ask them. And I can't believe someone of his authority and experience would even be questioned.
Yeah, I have to back that up, and just to let the fans at home know, there is 2 doctors on the bench. One sits there and looks at the vision to make sure that the boys weren't away with the fairies, not with it. Mark was out on the field at the time. He came off the ground, patched the boys up, and we've all played footy. When you get hit in the face, it's normally superficial. So you cut yourself and you bleed a lot, but you actually haven't been hit that hard, where if you get hit in the side of the head or the back of the head, generally leads to the concussion. But we'll move on from that. The Magpies were fantastic out at Elizabeth. They got the Bulldogs done. We seen Bryn play his first game, potentially debut this weekend.
The big fella. I went out to Elizabeth. It's a long way. Rock, when was the last time you went out there? Brett, a while ago?
Yeah, I got my car stolen last time I went out.
Can we talk about that story?
I was out there the other day. I went out to Mawson Lakes, actually. Just pop out there. I didn't quite get to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Mawson Lakes Mazda. Go and get your car service there.
No, it was Mawson Lakes MG, actually.
Okay. And MG too.
Yes, of course, MG. They deliver great cars. It's fantastic for the football club. And anyone that wants a car out there, jump on the MG bandwagon. Now, a great story last night. The AFLW women started the Port Adelaide AFLW team first training session at Alberton Oval, and it was a great spectacle. Every player, I think, on the list that was available to get there turned up to watch, and staff, and also the turnout from the fans was amazing.
I think there's about nearly 500 of the foundation members that's come out to watch, and it was really good for the girls. And Gemma, who we had on earlier in the podcast, she asked for a bit of forward craft tips, so it was nice to give her a few tips there.
What were the craft tips that you gave her?
I just wanted out in front. Here, Rock, the Duke's out.
I never missed. Do you have any forward craft tips for any of the young listeners out there?
Oh, God. I didn't know what I was doing, so the defender didn't know what I was doing.
Confusion.
Absolutely. Now, we move on to this week's game. Port Adelaide take on the Sydney Swans at Adelaide Oval, 1:15. What are we expecting this week, and Razio?
Sydney play that very one-on-one style, Rock. So, I think if we can really open the ground up through the corridor with our wingers, create some width, see if we can move the ball through there and nice and long and direct. Why not?
They've had a really good season this year, Sydney, and they're starting to build some momentum. Young up and coming, but it's a really important game, I think. We need to win this game to keep our finals dream alive.
Yeah.
A lot of people have written us off at the moment after that loss, but I think if we win this, we go into the Suns the next week and we can start to build a little bit of momentum towards the back half of the year. Do you think Port Adelaide can win, Brett?
I think they can, for sure. Sydney are going to be a tough opposition, but the power will be all right. I
just want to ask you, I just quickly caught the number 33. I know that you wore it in your days at Port Adelaide. The player that wears it now, Darcy Byrne-Jones, give me some thoughts on him.
Rate the hair as well.
Yeah.
I heard he's an ordinary bloke.
No, I think he's a pretty good fella. He's a right fella when he's asleep. Nah, he's a fantastic player, all Australian, beautiful kick.
Beautiful kick.
Oh,
He
sometimes.
hits his shin more than he hits his foot.
Yeah, we all do that. There's the three of us that have worn it. Big Darren Mead, myself, and Darcy Burn-Jones. So, it's great to see the numbers still going, and he's a fantastic player.
Darren Mead, we spoke to his son Jackson a little bit earlier this year, and the presentation of the jumper was fantastic in his first game. The Magpies take on Norwood at Alberton Oval, 1:10 on Sunday afternoon. What do we expect there? Who's going to be playing? Is there anyone coming back? We know Trent McKenzie unfortunately got a head knock, so we won't see him in the senior team. Will we see Bryn playing back at Samford level? Will we see him playing AFL level? Sam Hayes?
Yep. Not sure. That's up to Kenny and the boys, but I'm not sure if you watched any of the highlights. Big Brenner, he was up and about at Elizabeth, sort of giving the old shush to the crowd after he kicked his second.
Yeah, so I didn't venture out there, but I did watch a game live on Channel 7. Thank you to Channel 7 for broadcasting the local Samford footy there. That was great to watch that. He was certainly up and about. He's got a fair bit of personality. Your update, how far are you away?
Yep, training really nicely and progressing really well. So this week, trained fully, which is really good. Next week, I'll train fully again and be available to play next week if all goes well.
All right, let's jump into Friday night footy, brought to you by KFC, our great sponsor here, a great sponsor of the football club. Have you seen any podcasts? No, you haven't. We spoke about that before.
I'm an avid listener.
You haven't watched it on YouTube or downloaded it, but make sure you jump on the club's channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them to get the updates about what's going on, not only on the podcast, but at Port Adelaide Football Club. We have a bet on what we think who will win on Friday night. This week it's the Saints versus the Bombers, and whoever gets the closest. Last week I think I won.
Dodgy betting.
Razio's on the injury list, so you're going to complete a challenge for us at the after this bet has been placed.
What about last week's bet? I've picked... Who did I pick?
Carlton.
Carlton by 23. What did Rock do? Carlton by 24.
Well, I had it written down that they'd win by 24. They won by 26.
Did you pick after he picked?
After,
correct.
Yeah.
So you got to do it. It's like a secret ballot or something.
Well, I wrote it down. It was written down, so he could have argued the point, but he didn't. I'm the only one that actually has nailed the winner and the margin this year.
Do you have some money on it?
No, I wish I could. Gamble responsibly, of course, out there. The Saints take on the Bombers at Marvel Stadium on Friday night.
Yes.
I'll go first. St Kilda, for me, will win by 31 points.
I think that's too much, Rock. I'm going to go St Kilda by 22.
22. Do you want to have a guess at that?
Who's playing?
St Kilda. St Kilda and the Bombers at Marvel Stadium.
God. Tough one. If Hurdy plays, it'd be pretty close. St Kilda. St Kilda.
Yeah.
And it was nice that the Bombers celebrated their 150th year celebrations. We did that a couple of years ago, so there's not many of us in the AFL system that have actually been around for 150 years. Port Adelaide's probably the longest surviving club in the AFL. So, unfortunately, as I said before, Orazio cannot do the challenge this week because he's in rehab. I had this sauce on a spring roll. Unfortunately, you're going to have to put it on your finger, Brett.
Is this COVID safe?
Yeah, it's COVID safe. I'm going to pour a little bit on your finger. It's not too bad. You may need a little bit of iced coffee after.
Just in case. I'll even undo the lid just because.
It comes out quite fast at times, so I'm just trying to...
Plenty. Oh, jeez. Oh.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
You don't have to have it all.
All right, just put that in the mouth and swallow it down. All of it down there. Go. Put it all in. Nah, it's not... a little bit.
No, you're not going to get the taste by that.
Come on, you got to put the whole finger in there. Come on.
The milk's here.
Put it all in. Come on, put it all in. I had about that much. He's put a little couple of dabs. Just suck.
That's not hot.
Suck your
The eyes are
back.
watering, mate.
Come on, put it all in.
Thank you to the Fluoro Peninsula for that.
Iced coffee. He thinks it's a little bit hot. Put it all in.
No, that's not hot at all.
Are you going to put it all in or not?
No, I'm not.
All right. So we'll wrap up the show.
My name's Billy, not silly.
He's reneged on that bet a little bit, so Razio might have to get punished twice as much next week. But
I'll double up.
Thank you again for joining us on the Rock the Razbah podcast. It was fantastic to have Brett Ebert here, the son of Russell, who was elevated to legend status on Tuesday night in the AFL Hall of Fame. Good luck to Port Adelaide and the Magpies this weekend, and thanks again for tuning in.